beans. Sweet, like a lemon. All right, ladies and gents. That's okay. We are going to read chapter 6 today. We had a bit of a situation this morning with the internet, so it's what, August 18th, I think. I have no idea. I think it's August 18th or something like that. And we are going to do a little bit of reading. We had some meetings this morning already, especially one with the TNS group. Then one got postponed now because of the internet situation that we've got going on here. But we'll get that sorted. Just moved it to a little bit later. And I'm going to use the time to read chapter 6 and then go to the gym. I'm going to take the bicycle. The weather's a bit shitty today. That's okay. We will survive. And I'm going to take the long way around to get to the gym. So technically it's kind of not the long way around because the gym's pretty much at the start of Franschhoek. So if we go out this way, that's pretty much where I'm going to end up. Ride to the gym, train, and then ride back. Because this morning through in TNS we were talking about some limiting beliefs and things like that. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but your man's picked up a little bit of weight. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. So there's a picture that I have of me when I was at my skinniest. And I don't think that I will ever be that skinny again. And that was the limiting belief that we were speaking about. Because in terms of the business, there's a lot of limiting beliefs that I've broken in the last 6 months and before. And so I need to find a way by eating clean and going to the gym and training and drinking lots of water and things like that to get to a close enough place as I was before. And so I can look like that or something similar to. I just need to get started and stick to it. I did very well at the beginning of the year. I lost about 10 kgs in it was a little bit longer, 4.5, 5 months. But I had some assistance, and this time I have no assistance. So I take my daily dose of creatine, and I make sure I get all my protein in. And the cleanest that I've ever eaten was literally just some fried eggs or boiled eggs and chicken breasts, and some broccoli maybe. So I'm going to continue doing that for the rest of the year because according to my vision, I have a six-pack and I look sexy. So I want to get rid of the extra weight that I'm carrying. Physically and the rest. So let's get into it. Anyway, cool. So today, chapter 6 talks about how riches come to you. It'll be a little bit difficult for me to read because the flash is now all stuck in my eye and it's literally blocking words on the page. But let's go. Let's see how I do. When I say you do not have to drive a sharp bargains, I do not mean that you do not have to drive any bargains at all, or that you are above necessity for having any dealings with your fellow men. I mean that you will not need to deal with them unfairly. You do not need to or do not have to get something for nothing, but you can give every man more than you take from him. Remember yesterday we spoke about the mission. You cannot give every man more in cash market value than you can take from him, but you can give him more in use value than cash value of the thing you take from him. The paper, ink, and other material in this book may not be worth the money you pay for it, but if the ideas suggested by it bring you thousands of dollars, you have not been wronged by those who sold it to you. They have given you a great use value for small cash value. Let us suppose that I own a picture by one of the great artists, which in any civilized community is worth thousands of dollars. I take it to Baffin Ray and by salesmanship induce an Eskimo to give a bundle of furs worth $500 for it. I have really wronged him, for he has no use for the picture. It is no use value to him. It will not add to his life. But suppose I give him a gun worth $50 for his furs. Then he has made a good bargain. He has use for that gun. It will get him many more furs and much food. It will add to his life in every way. It will make him rich. It's one of those things that I love about sales is that immediately when your customer doesn't tick all the boxes, I'm not going to look up, the light's blinding me. if they don't need it, don't give it to them. It's simple as, if they're not going to get any value out of it. One of the things that I love about when we worked with Iman and them, we didn't at all, if anybody needed to go into debt to buy a program and things like that, absolute zero. No, not happening. And which is the right way to do it. Somebody always used to say, there's always the right time to do the right thing. When you rise from the competitive to the creative plane, you can scan your business transactions very strictly. And if you are selling any man anything that does not add more to his life than the thing he gives you in exchange, you can afford to stop it. You do not have to beat anybody in business. And if you are in business which does beat people, get out of it at once. Give every man more in use value than you take from him in cash value. Then you are adding to the life of the world by every business transaction. If you have people working for you, you must take from them more in cash value than you pay them in wages. But you can so organize your business that it will be filled with the principle of advancement, and so that each employee who wishes to do so may advance a little every day. You can make your business do for your employees what this book is doing for you. You can so conduct your business that it will be sort of a ladder by which every employee who will take the trouble may climb to riches himself. And given the opportunity, if you will do so, it is not your fault. Cool. And finally, because you are to cause the creation of your riches from formless substance, which permeates all your environment, it does not follow that they are to take shape from the atmosphere and come into being before your eyes. If you want a sewing machine, for instance, I do not mean to tell you that you are to impress the thought of a sewing machine on thinking substance until the machine is formed without hands in the room where you sit or elsewhere. But if you want a sewing machine, hold the mental image of it with the most positive certainty that it is being made, or it is on its way to you. After once forming the thought, have the most absolute and unquestioning faith that the sewing machine is coming. Never think of it or speak of it in any other way than as being sure to arrive. Claim it as already yours, like the farm. That's the note I made here. So for example, something that I really loved about some conversations I've had with Monique in the past, where she could have been a little bit skeptical at first when it comes to thinking like this. But when we arrived here in Franschhoek, one of the things that immediately changed was the way that she started speaking about things. And she asked me a question like, I wonder which farm is ours, which is a beautiful way of thinking about it. And so the only way to find out is literally going to ask people and send messages to agents and things like that, and making those conversations happen. It will be brought to you by the power of supreme intelligence, acting upon the minds of men. If you live in Maine, it may be that a man will be brought from Texas or Japan to engage in some transaction which will result in your getting what you want. If so, the whole matter will be as much to the man's advantage as it is to yours. Do not forget for a moment that the thinking substance is through all, in all, communicating with all, and can influence all. The desire of thinking substance for fuller life and better living has caused the creation of all the sewing machines already made, and it can cause the creation of millions more, and will whenever men set in motion by desire and faith, and by acting in a certain way. You can certainly have a sewing machine in your house, and it is just as certain that you can have any other thing or things which you want, and which you will use for the advancement of your own life and the lives of others. You need not hesitate about asking largely. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom, said Jesus. Let that sink in. You need not hesitate about asking largely. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom, said Jesus. Original substance wants to live all that is possible in you, and wants you to have all that you can or will use for the living of the most abundant life. If you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with desire of omnipotence, for more complete expression, your faith becomes invincible. Once I saw a little boy sitting at a piano and vainly trying to bring harmony out of the keys, and I saw that he was grieved and provoked by his inability to play real music. I asked him the cause of his vexation, and he answered, I can feel the music in me, but I can't make my hands go right. The music in him was the urge of original substance, containing all the possibilities of life, of all life. All that there is of music was seeking expression through the child. God, the only one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. He is saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures, to play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures. I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths and sing marvelous songs, and so on. All that there is of possibility is seeking expression through men. God wants those men or who can play music to have pianos and every other instrument, and to have the means to cultivate their talents to the fullest extent. He wants those who can appreciate beauty to be able to surround themselves with beautiful things. He wants those who can discern truth to have every opportunity to travel and observe. He wants those who can appreciate dress to be beautifully clothed, and those who can appreciate good food to be luxuriously fed. He wants all these things because it is himself that enjoys and appreciates them. It is God who wants to play and sing and enjoy beauty and proclaim truth and wear fine clothes and eat good foods. It is God that worketh in you to will and to do, said Paul. The desire you feel for riches is the infinite, seeking to express himself in you as he sought to find expression in the little boy at the piano. In the podcast I shot with the School of Athens, there was a question that I answered, and it was speaking about how there's this restlessness, and I was referencing Iman's story on Instagram that he posted about, not to say that anyone was the chosen one, but it was like that feeling that you have. The desire you feel for riches is the infinite, seeking to express himself in you as he sought to find expression in the little boy at the piano. We need to find a way to express those feelings, not emotional feelings, but feeling into like intuition. So you need not hesitate to ask largely. Your part is to focalize and express the desire to God. And here I made a note here that I still haven't done. I had a moment on one Sunday. I was on Instagram, just scrolling away, and every single reel was about God. And I'd argue that it's not the algorithm, by the way, because I felt we were having a conversation. And basically, what the note I read here was, come sit with me and have a morning meeting. So your part is to focalize and express the desire to God. And the invitation was from him to go and sit with him every day, just me and him, and talk. It's already like making me, anyway. This is the difficult point with most people. They retain something of the old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. They look upon poverty as a part of the plan, a necessity of nature. They have the idea that God has finished his work and made all that he can make, and that the majority of men must stay poor because there is not enough to go around. They hold to so much of the erroneous thought that they feel ashamed to ask for wealth. They try not to want more than the very modest competence, just enough to make them fairly comfortable. I recall now the case of one student who was told that he must get in mind a clear picture of the things he desired, so that the creative thought of them might be impressed on formless substance. He was a very poor man, living in a rented house, having only what he earned from day to day, and he could not grasp the fact that all wealth was his. So after thinking the matter over, he decided that he might reasonably ask for a new rug for the floor of his best room and an anthracite coal stove to heat his house during the cold weather. Following the instructions given in this book, he obtained these things in a few months, and then it dawned upon him that he had not asked enough. He went through the house in which he lived and planned all the improvements he would like to make in it. He mentally added a bay window here and a room there until it was complete in his mind and as his ideal home, and then he planned its furnishings. Holding the whole picture in his mind, he began living in a certain way and moving towards what he wanted. And he owns the house now, and he's rebuilding it after the form of his mental image. And now, with still larger faith, he is going on to get greater things. It has been unto him according to his faith, and it is so with you and with all of us. Sweet. That's chapter 6. The next chapter, gratitude. Okay? I'll read you the first sentence. The illustrations given in the last chapter will have conveyed to you, the reader, or to the reader, the fact that the first step towards getting rich is to convey the idea of your wants to the formless substance. In the next line, he talks about this is true, and you will see that in order to do so, it becomes necessary to relate yourself to the formless intelligence in a harmonious way, To secure this harmonious relation is a matter of such primary and vital importance that I shall give some space to its discussion here and give you instructions which, if you follow them, will be certain to bring you into perfect unity of mind with God. The whole process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed up in one word: gratitude. Incredible. And just like that, my phone's ringing. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.